how to hire your first sales rep. If you are like an online coaching, consulting, course business, anything like that, this can be the best process that you apply because there's a lot of mistakes I made when hiring sales reps, and I want to help you avoid those. So I've hired quite a few, so I'm gonna just share like the 5-step process. Like, make sure you hit every one of these. If you miss one of these, the whole process can blow up. You're gonna hire the wrong person. The training's gonna be awful. The ramp up's gonna be awful. So make sure you do this because I've learned a lot of lessons. You're gonna lose a lot of money if you do this wrong. So let's dive in. So 5 things. The first thing that you want to have before you make any hiring decision at all, make sure you actually do have a validated sales process. This is a must. All right, so one of the biggest mistakes you can make is basically hiring before you're ready to hire. All right, you don't have a validated sales process. So what am I looking for here? So first thing I'm gonna look at is the close rate. All right, typically for most like online coaching businesses, usually want this to be at least at 30% plus, especially if you're the owner taking the sales calls already. Like, you're probably gonna want to be at least at 30%. Very, very bare minimum is gonna be 25%, but again, you want to be at the 30% mark ideally. All right, so that's what we're looking at in terms of validation. Also, you should have a consistent process. So if you're doing a different thing on every call, that's a huge red flag. All right, just because you're the owner and you can do like a lot of like sales jiu-jitsu and you know everything about the product, about the answer, like everything. If you're doing different things on every call, you're asking different questions, you're doing a different pitch, like that's a huge red flag. Because a sales rep can't really replicate that unless they have the exact experience and brain that you have, which they don't. So you need a consistent process where you ask the same questions, you have the same pitch, same objection. You need the same process over and over again. That's how you actually replicate. You can't replicate something that's not consistent. You can't replicate doing random things. So you need to be consistent. You need that consistent close rate, at 30% plus. So that's what we're looking for there. Also, you should have lead gen, consistent lead gen, where you're booking usually like at least 3 to 5 calls every single day. All right, that's what you're going to want if you have a full-time sales reps. They're going to want at least that volume. All right, so you need that. If you don't have that, you need to make sure that you get your lead gen up before you do look at hiring a sales rep, because no one's going to want an offer where you're taking like 1 call a day. Like, it's nothing. It's not good enough. All right, they're going to leave you and you're just going to churn a sales rep and you're going to be back to square one. So it's not a fun process. So make sure you have that validated sales process where you have lead gen, you have a closing process, everything consistent. All right, that's number 1. Number 2 here, you must document your process. You must document your process. What do I mean by this? So you need to have a vault of recorded winning sales calls. I recommend you have at least 10 in here of documented sales call recording. That way you can, when you onboard them, they can just listen to these right away and they can see exactly what does your process look like and listen to a bunch of recordings. That's crucial. All right, I recommend you also have like a written process as well. What's the exact questions, like the exact script, pitch you go through, all written out for them. You should have like a document going over your avatar. All right, who's your ICP? Like, written out what's their pain points, what's their demographics, what's their desires, so they can just look at that and kind of learn the avatar as well. Any other call process you have? So like pre-call process, things for show rates, all right, follow-up, all this should be documented. All right, so this is a process right here. Once you're ready, once you have the validated sales process, you should be documenting everything to prep for having a sales rep. Don't just onboard them, have nothing to give them, and just like kind of like do it on the as you're going. Like, you need the stuff built up before you onboard them. Like, I have a master sales folder that just has everything there. Recordings, avatar sheet, offer sheet, my background, company's background, case studies, all this stuff is just built up in documents, so it's so easy for them from like day one, just go to the sales master folder and everything is there. That's how it should be. That's number 2. Number 3, when it is time to hire, once you have 1 and 2 in place and it's time to actually do interviews and hire, do lots of interviews, like way more interviews than you think you should do. So I recommend at least 15 to 20 interviews with people who are actually like going to be solid candidates. 15 to 20. All right. Some people like probably do, like, I definitely in the past I've done like 3 interviews. I'm like, oh, okay, sounds good. Let me pick the best one. Don't do that. Do way more interviews than you think you need. All right, because you're gonna just the interview process by itself. The more you do, the more like you're gonna realize what a good candidate actually looks like. All right. So do way more than you think, because when you do way more than you think, there's gonna be like 1, sometimes 2 people who really like stand out they stand way out from the rest. And you're like, holy crap, if I stopped like just at number 4, like I would have thought like that's just what sales reps look like. But then you find out like what a good one looks like. And you're like, oh, holy crap. Like, there's just a massive difference. So you have to do way more than you think you should. So go ahead and aim for 15 to 20, if not more. Do lots of interviews. Number 4, when you do find the one, when you find the one, make them an offer. And then when you're onboarding them, do daily meetings / trainings to ramp them up. So every single day, you should have a call on the calendar with them. I recommend, batching out an hour, especially when ramping them up, so you can go over any questions they have and also do mock calls. All right, usually you want to do at least 3 mock calls where they actually take a live call of their own. All right, so do daily trainings. The ramp up process really depends on the offer and everything and how skilled the sales rep is. Usually what we do, it probably takes about a week of just kind of training, going through materials, answering questions, doing mock calls. And the next week we start them off and we give them, some actual live call volume. All right, so that's number 4. And then number 5 here, once it is time to give them call volume, don't just throw everything at them from day one. I recommend you limit it to really just 2-3 calls a day for the first few days, for maybe the first week or so. It really depends here on how fast they pick up the process and everything, because it's crucial you give them a fast feedback loop here. Our sales is already a fast feedback loop, but you want to be doing call reviews right away for them, especially this first few weeks. You need to be on top of it. All right, so do give them just 2-3 calls a day for the first few days. That way they can really kind of learn the process, do a few live calls, listen to their own calls, get feedback, and just really, really have a very, very fast feedback cycle when starting out. All right, the mistake you don't want to make is giving them, 5 calls a day instantly, and then all of a sudden you're burning a lot of revenue because they're learning the process. They're brand new. All right. And then usually what I've noticed as well, it's kind of the last bonus point. A true sales killer, they should close deals very fast, relatively fast. It shouldn't take 30 calls for them to get their first deal closed. That's a massive red flag. All right, so usually I see it close within the first 5, if not 10 calls. And I know because if someone does it in the first 10 calls, it's kind of a red flag. It's okay, well, that's not what I like to see. So that's the big things to look at there. Those are the top 5. Make sure you follow these 5. You follow these 5, you're gonna just be they're instantly gonna avoid a whole lot of mistakes that I made. It's cost me a whole lot of money, so hopefully you can avoid them. If you are an online coach and you do want one-on-one mentorship to actually scale your business from someone who's already done it, generated millions of dollars online in coaching businesses, then go ahead and click the link below. We can work together one-on-one. I'll license all of my lead gen sales systems to you so you own them and you can just plug them in instantly and scale your business. So if you want that, click the link below and we'll talk soon.